Sebastian Vendel-Martinez, MMAnytt here with Ian Dean, matchmaker for Cage Warriors, here for Cage Warriors 68 in Liverpool. You guys are back in Liverpool after a little while.
Yeah.
How are you guys feeling about being back here?
Yeah, it's great to be back here in Liverpool. You know, it's got a great reputation as a fighting city. It's got the northwest of England's got some fantastic fighters, and yeah, looking forward to showing what we do.
Now, tell us your thoughts about the main event. It's a very exciting fight. Two very exciting fighters. One up and coming, one more of a veteran. How do you feel about Danny Roberts against Jim Wallhead?
Yeah, I mean, we said a few times already in the run-up to this. This is a huge fight for the UK MMA scene and for Cage Warriors. We've got Jim Wallhead returning to Cage Warriors after a long absence. A guy who made his name in shows at Cage Warriors many years ago. He's taken on Danny Roberts. Unbeaten at Cage Warriors 5-0. He's put on some really exciting performances. So, we've got this sort of like a homecoming of one of our biggest stars of a few years ago against maybe one of the hottest properties right now in UK MMA, and that's what makes that kind of bout exciting.
And like you said, it's a pretty high stakes bout. How close do you think the winner would be to a potential title shot?
That's not for me to say right now. I mean, the winner of this fight is definitely going to be, up there, even more so. But welterweight at Cage Warriors is really stacked. We've got some fantastic fighters. Obviously, you saw Nicholas Dalby, win the title in Copenhagen. We've got other guys like Gal Gramond in the division. We've got guys like Ben Alloway and Mohsen Buhari, challenging out there. And there's more as well. I mean, it's always been a really stacked division at Cage Warriors, but now I think right now probably one of the best in Europe. And of course, the winner of this is going to want to go for the title, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But they're definitely going to be one of the top contenders.
Now, there's a lot of very exciting fights in this card, but as a matchmaker, you've always got a bit more insight to it. Which would you say is maybe the sleeper fight, the one that maybe isn't getting quite as much attention that it deserves?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, not only because we're standing right in front of the fighters right now, but I think Ronnie Mann and Marcelo Costas slipped under the radar a bit. Ronnie's he's fought around the world, the United States, Japan, and for the last 10 plus years, he's taken on some of the best guys at featherweight, and he's really established himself now as a bantamweight. And again, like his fight against Marcelo Costa, who's a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, coming off a career best win, I believe last year against Damanko Page, ex-UFC fighter. So he wants to make an impact in a division. We've got a vacant title at 135 right now. That for me is really interesting. And then I think in the UK we've got Leroy Barnes and Che Mills, which is making a lot of headlines on social media. Two guys coming off losses, but at the same time much better than their recent form suggests. Both of game exciting fighters. Last time out in Liverpool, Leroy put on a fantastic performance against Norm Prasey. Showed great stand-up and basically lost the game on the floor, whereas Che Mills, as we know, was in the UFC, favours his striking, and although he's coming off 2 TKO losses, I think both guys are going to stand and trade, and that should be a really exciting fight as well.
I think what our viewers and readers want to know most of all is, when is Cage Warriors going to return to Scandinavia?
Hopefully soon. I think we all had a great time in Copenhagen. And myself, if you've followed the kind of fights I've put on since 2004-05, you'll see that Scandinavians have really featured heavily. I've got a great deal of respect for Scandinavians, their work ethic, the fact that they're all-round game, and the fact I think they're really committed to the sport. And it's no surprise that, like in Sweden right now, there's a great show going on there today. But also, look at the fights they've been producing, also into the UFC. So, you're going to have to speak to the boss. But I know we're working and we're expanding our Scandinavian roster, and hopefully we'll be there real soon.
I think a lot of fans don't always understand what goes on behind the scenes and why it isn't just as easy as booking a show at a stadium. What have been some of the challenges in breaking into Scandinavia?
I think whenever you go into a new territory, there's a range of problems, whether it be language barriers, which isn't necessarily a big thing Scandinavia, but then logistic as well. As you saw before, Cage Warriors take a lot of people into their host country where we do a show. You've got to look at flights, you've got to look at hotels, schedules as well, especially as, you know, we have fighter staff and people, you know, this isn't just their only job, you know what I mean? So there's that as well. Also, if you go to Sweden, there's a commission, so we'd have to look at that. I mean, I'd need a license, Cage Warriors would need a license, our officials, our fighters. So, you know, these are all things that we'd be looking at. But then, you know, we've been doing this now a long while. You know, Graham's like sort of, you know, whipped us all into shape. You know, we're you know, if you can do a show in Chechnya, you can do a show pretty much anywhere.
That's a very good way of putting it. So that means hopefully we can expect a Cage Warriors show again in Scandinavia sometime this year, maybe?
I hope so. We'll see.
We'll see, and we'll hope. This is Sebastian Martinez here with Cage Warriors matchmaker Ian Dean, here for Cage Warriors 68 in Liverpool. Thank you very much.
No worries.